welcome to this deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving into something very specific. It's called Mansi's Trading Tip 70.
That's right, a single tip.
Yeah, just one. But it seems packed with insight, especially if you're grappling with, managing risk and trading.
Absolutely. It's really about protecting gains, isn't it? A strategy for that.
Okay, so let's lay it out. The core idea, as I understand it, if you have a trade, say 25,000.
Yep, 25,000 invested.
And you've made a profit of 500.
Mm-hmm. Modest, but it's profit.
Right. The tip says, don't let that trade turn into a loss.
Exactly. That's the first part. Protect that 500. Don't let it slip away and go negative.
And crucially, it adds, it says re-entry is always an option.
Yes, that's key. Exiting doesn't mean you're done with that trade idea forever.
Because, okay, 25K in, 500 up. Mansi's saying basically secure that win, however small. Don't risk turning a positive into a negative.
Precisely. It's less about just taking any profit and more about the active step of stopping a winning position from becoming a losing one.
Stopping the reversal.
Yeah, it's a proactive stance. If it starts to dip, eats into that 500 out, the advice is get out.
And that follow point, you can always re-enter.
Yeah.
That feels really important. It sort of takes the pressure off exiting, maybe?
I think so. It reframes the exit. It's not failure. It's not necessarily admitting you were wrong about the direction long term.
It's more like preserving firepower.
Exactly. Preserve your capital. Maybe wait for a better entry point if the setup still looks good later. Keep your options open.
It really ties into that classic trading advice, doesn't it? Cut your losses short.
It does. But here, it's applying it even when you're slightly in profit. Letting that small euro 100 gain become, say, a 100 loss.
Yeah.
Well, that goes against that fundamental discipline. It can set a bad precedent mentally, too.
Okay, but here's a thought that pops into my head. Does this approach, could it mean you sometimes bail too early?
Yes.
You protect the hour 100, but the trade was just having a temporary wobble before going much higher. You miss out on bigger gains.
That's the eternal trade-off, isn't it? It's a totally valid point.
So,
well, Mansi's tip, in this specific context, you 500 profit on 25K, it prioritizes locking in that gain. It's a defined rule for this situation.
right.
Yes, a temporary dip could trigger an exit, and you might miss out if it shoots up right after. That highlights, you need to consider your time frame.
Oh, okay.
Is this a quick scalp trade or part of a longer-term view? This tip feels, it seems more geared towards shorter-term trading.
Where banking smaller, consistent wins is maybe more the goal.
Exactly. And maintaining discipline is paramount, protecting that capital, protecting those small wins.
So it's almost like the psychological pain, the feeling of watching a profit vanish and turn red.
Yeah.
That pain might be worse than the regret of missing out on maybe more profit.
I think that's a huge part of it. Trading psychology is massive.
Yeah.
Seeing green turn to red can trigger fear, maybe panic selling later, or even revenge trading. It can lead to bad decisions.
So this rule, it's like a circuit breaker for those emotions.
Kind of, yeah. It's a predefined action, takes the emotional heat out of the decision, hopefully, stick to the plan, maintain a level head.
Okay. So for someone trying to, get a grip on risk management, this feels very concrete.
It is.
Like a specific rule for a specific scenario. Profit hits X% of capital, then don't let it fall below Y.
Exactly. It gives you a clearer line in the sand for this particular ratio. It's actionable.
Which makes you think, doesn't it? Do you, the listener, have similar clear rules?
Right. What are your triggers? When do you decide, okay, time to protect this gain or time to cut this loss? Having those defined beforehand is often really helpful.
And something else. It's called Trading Tip 70.
Yeah, that number.
70. That suggests it's not just a one-off idea, right? It's probably part of a bigger picture.
That's a very good observation. It implies a system, a broader philosophy Mansi might have.
So understanding the other 69 tips, or the overall framework.
Exactly. They'd have to give richer context. Why this specific threshold, 500 euro and 25,000? It might make even more sense within their larger strategy.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. This deep dive into Mansi's Tip 70.
Mm-hmm.
It really boils down to this.
Yeah.
You're in a $25,000 trade. You hit 500 profit.
Mm-hmm.
The advice is clear.
Don't let it become a loss. Protect that gain.
Protect it. And just as important, remember you can get back in later if things look right again.
Absolutely. Exiting isn't defeat, it's strategy. And let's not forget the psychological angle we talked about.
Right, the emotional discipline.
Yeah. Having that rule can potentially save you from the stress, the poor decisions that come when, you watch profits just evaporate.
Okay. So, final thought then. Something for you to maybe chew on after this discussion.
So on.
This principle.
Yeah.
Protecting an initial gain, setting a threshold, acting on it, but keeping the door open to re-engage.
Yeah.
How could that apply, outside of trading, in other parts of your life? Where else could that kind of disciplined approach to managing progress maybe be useful?
That's a great question to ponder. Protecting progress, knowing when to pause and reevaluate. Interesting.